Welcome to Hermit Woods, where there's a story in every bottle.
Which is really good.
Well, hello, everybody out there. We're back again. This time, it's different. It's different. There's no snow.
Where's
the snow?
Where are the goggles? We're not on the chairlift.
What did we do? What happened?
How about that?
So, welcome to our Monday afternoon broadcast. It's yet again another Monday. For all of you who, I know, look, we got three nice bottles of wine to drink. How about that?
Wine and friends.
Wine and friends.
That's it.
Before we get started, a couple things, orders of business. First of all, let us know if you're on board with us. Like us, like the broadcast, share it with any of your friends who might be interested, and make a comment. Let us know that you're here so we know who's watching us today. I see Gary and Matt are already on board. We kind of count on you guys, so thank you. And again, any questions you guys have as we go along, please feel free to ask them. And if you're looking to subscribe to our page, I actually figured this out in Facebook. If you hit the bell, which is the notification section in the video, that actually pulls up a little window that asks you if you want to be notified of future broadcasts. And you just say yes, and you'll be notified of all broadcasts.
We had a bell on my porch in Northridge, California when I was a kid, and my mom would ring the bell.
The dinner bell.
That was the dinner bell.
Yes.
Because we were playing down the street, capture the flag or hide and seek or something like that. And
of course.
We'd ring the bell, and then we would know we had to go in. And
so don't ring the dinner bell, ring the drink bell.
The drink
this
bell.
is the drink bell.
Like ding, ding, ding.
So, and you can also subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, there's a subscribe button right below the screen. We'd love it if you'd subscribe to our channel. And let's see, if you have any questions, I think I said this already, please ask them, and
I got a question.
We'll get to it. What's the question?
Can we drink a wine?
You just don't, you have no patience whatsoever, do you?
He said ask questions, right? Did he say?
He did, and I might note that it's 33 minutes after happy hour.
Oh, yes, it's a little later in the day, isn't it?
It is.
So, 5:30. Hope everybody was able to transition to this new time or finds this new time workable for you. And because it's a little later, we get to be actually at the tasting bar.
Yeah,
that's nice.
So we're not in the cellar today. Obviously, we're at the tasting bar. And if you haven't heard,
This is back open.
It's open. We're doing wine tastings again. Come in Saturdays and Sundays, and we're for sure doing wine tastings. And during the week, it's as we can, depending on how many team members we have here. But come on in and taste some wine again. We're having a lot of fun with it. It's so good to be back wine tasting again.
Yeah.
So hope to see you in
Good
the
buzz.
tasting room soon. Good buzz. Yeah.
Wait a minute. What?
Boom, boom. Here, do we get the laugh track?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Yes, here it is.
Oh no. Oh.
No,
All right.
it does really make the atmosphere so much more festive and fun. And it's great having people come in and get wine flights and get their sandwiches and stuff. But it's another thing with people standing around the bar, listening to the stories about the wine, having fun together. It's just a different feel.
It changed.
whole
In
thing.
fact, a number of our staff have not been here when we have been doing tastings in the past. We have
That's
a lot
amazing.
of new
They've been
staff.
working here for a year,
A
9
year,
months,
and
they
they've
still haven't
never
done a tasting.
experienced the tasting bar. And a couple of those staff members came up to me and they said, "Wow, it's a whole different experience here at the winery when we're doing tastings.
Yeah.
There's a buzz. It's just a lot more fun. There's a lot of laughter and people are just having a lot of fun." So,
And the club members, of course, come on in. It's complimentary for you and your guests to come and sample wine. So please don't hesitate. We'd love to see you again and get you up here to the bar. And one of the bars was installed upstairs.
Oh, yeah, making
3.
so much progress upstairs. We cannot wait
so
to
close.
share it. It is so close.
Yeah.
The building inspector and the fire chief were here today. And although there are a couple minor things, there were nothing major. So hopefully, knock on wood, we're going to have our permission to operate this space within a week or so. I don't think you should wait any longer, Ken. You should get a bottle open.
That's what I was doing, Bob.
Yeah.
So do you think, Bob, that we might be doing some wine tasting upstairs?
Absolutely.
Really?
That's what I'm looking
Oh,
forward
that would
to.
be fun.
What?
So get this. In the future, when you taste wine at Hermit Woods, you'll still have the opportunity to taste at this bar. This bar isn't going anywhere, but we're going to have opportunities to schedule a tasting with us where you come. We're going to offer 3 or 4 a day on the weekends, and you will get a table reserved for you and your party, and you'll have the entire tasting experience in a seated environment. And then we're going to have a projection system, so we'll be able to have imagery on the screen, and we'll be able to talk about. We'll have a microphone, so we'll be able to project our voices around the whole room. And it's going to be a whole different kind of unique experience. And we're so excited about doing that. So wait a minute, before you pour that, we should show you, let's do the new feature.
All right. It's set up a little bit like a class here. I don't know if you folks have seen this, but we have like homework.
So let's tell everybody
What's
what we're
this
doing.
all about?
Let's tell you. So you may know this already if you saw some of the promos for this. We are going to talk today about how to best appreciate a glass of wine. And we're going to do that by first going over the process of appreciating wine. And then we have the American Wine Society scorecard. And if you haven't seen it, you can go to our website in the event section and actually download it and print it if you haven't done it already. I will share a copy with you right now so you can see. Let's see. So you can see what it looks like. This is what it looks like. We're going to be looking at the wine based on how it appears. What is its color like, and clarity and brilliance, and then is there any haze? Is there any opacity? If it's sparkling, we're going to consider whether it's got persistent bubbles. None of these are sparkling, so we're not going to worry about that. Aroma. We're going to look at the aroma, and is it pleasant? Is it unappetizing? What specific aromas are we experiencing? Consider both the fruit smells and other aromas that might contribute to it. Then we're also going to consider, obviously, flavor. Once we've had a chance to taste the wine, we're going to score it on flavor. Is it dry? Is it sweet? Full-bodied or light? Appropriate acid, et cetera, et cetera. And then overall impression, we'll sort of
Yum.
The overall
Yum.
impression is yum.
Yeah.
And then we'll score it. Total points you can get, and the points are weighted, as you can see from the chart here. There's the lower score for sight, a little higher for aroma and flavor, and your overall impression is just a 0 to 4 points, for a total of 20 points if it was a perfect wine. And if you've followed Robert Parker over the years, no such thing exists.
No such thing. So, yet there are some 100-point wines.
There are?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
then
you can walk through a liquor store and you see them 100-point. But then
well, anybody can put 100 point on a bottle. So
by some rating somewhere.
Yeah. So stop sharing. So we're going to go back.
I think there's 105.
It's 105.
Yeah. Really? I think when we get to ours, seriously,
105.
Yeah.
So how many of you out there know why we swirl our wine? Does anybody know why we do that?
You know, it's actually kind of fun too. I'll often tell people at the bar here, pick up your glass when you first pour it and just smell it without swirling it around, and then swirl it for a while, and then smell it again, and see if you perceive any difference. See if it comes up. I've also seen people put a card or something over the top and
let the aroma collect
in the bowl and then slide it off.
So the reason that you swirl your wine in your glass is there's a number of important things to consider. One is you actually look like you know what you're doing. That's really probably the most important thing, right? When you're at a party, you want to look like you know what you're doing. And you ever see anybody,
actually,
you see the experts?
Yes.
You could end up soaking your neighbor with your wine.
Exactly. You hold it up to the side.
And often your expert wine tasters will hold it here. And do you know the reason why? Well,
Big P pretentious?
No. Well, yeah, that goes along with looking like you know what you're doing. That's certainly the case. But you want to keep the warmth. The wine is served at oftentimes a very precise temperature, and you want to maintain that temperature.
And that's the purpose of the stem as well.
Yes, but the stem, you're still delivering heat into the stem, and that is why they hold it here. There's no risk of your body temperature.
I think that's just pushing it.
Well,
that's pushing it.
Ask.
I'll look at the thermal capabilities of glass to transmit, and it's not very high. That's why we use it as insulation. So it's not going to transmit it.
He's such a scientist.
Well, that's what it gets down to.
Well, I think we need to do some more research on this subject.
You know, it's a case of more is better, right? So the further you are away from the wine,
the less
heat possible.
How about a straw?
Even radiant heat, right? So my hand is radiating heat. I'm changing the whole experience right now, and I'm changing it less here, maybe.
Thank you,
it's pretty extreme.
Thank you, Chuck.
So this is different.
Who needs science?
We get science.
Okay.
But this is a little dangerous. I'm not recommending this because I don't feel like I have full control.
I've seen Gordon do that. Hold it to the side and talk to me, looking in my eyes while he's swirling his wine. And the wine's going right up to the lip. And I'm like, He's poured some really nice silver oak or something and swirling it around.
Your super nice $15 glass and don't.
Okay.
So let's go through.
Why else do we swirl?
Let's ask scoring.
Let's go. Well, before we do that,
step by step.
Well, we want to take them through first how to appreciate the wine. So we swirl the wine. We look like we know what we're doing. And then you'll notice you develop in the upper part of the glass these legs and tiers. If you begin to understand what those legs and tiers mean, you will start to be able to determine how much alcohol is in your wine and how much sugar. So typically, the more legs, the higher the alcohol content, and the slower they proceed down the glass, the higher the viscosity and the likelihood of
That's what's really interesting about this. You know, these legs, these teardrops that are forming and cascading down the glass are from alcohol vapors going up the wall, pushing the liquid to the sides.
Yeah.
There's actually some great YouTube videos.
You can take a glass with something in it and pour wine into it and watch it go up the sides.
There's some great YouTube videos out there about that very process, and they're quite fascinating to learn the science behind why that is the case. So you can look at the legs and tiers, helps you know how much alcohol or how sweet your wine is. And then the most important thing you're going to do by swirling is you're going to increase the surface area of the wine, so more volatile gases will escape from the wine and fill the globe of the glass up with the aroma. So you put your nose in the glass, you're going to get that aroma. And as you become better at this, you'll want to think about where you put your nose. Should you just stick it right down in there, or should you hold it maybe a little higher up on the glass,
or a little
lower?
It's fascinating. They're different, especially with the type of glass. These glasses sort of funnel it up, but some wine glasses stay sort of vertical walled, and they're quite open.
Yes.
And so the alcohol can kind of move towards the center and the edges can retain some fruitiness.
Right.
This one kind of funnels it all up. So it's a little harder to get separation, but
so this is all super interesting. We've just jumped right in here. Judy Hopkins asked a good question. What are you tasting? Well, that is a very good question. Grape wine.
this is grape wine.
What?
So-
This is grape wine.
So we could put that right
How
here.
did we get grape wine in here?
Bob bought it at the liquor store.
Bob got it at the liquor store.
So that's what we're serving. The reason that these wines were selected is we wanted to have some variety. I happen to have a case of that in my cellar because I recently purchased as a power buy at the liquor store, and I just loved it.
Yeah.
So I went back and I got a case, and so I had enough of that in my cellar that I could spare a bottle.
He would spare a bottle with us.
Very, very nice.
It's
So
very good thing.
what grapes are in this? Tell us about this.
So it's mostly Sangiovese, which is
Sangiovese.
typical for Chianti. This is a Classico. It's actually a blend, and they tell you what the blend is. Quite a few Chiantis won't necessarily tell you what the blend is.
Right. You just don't know.
You just got to know, or it's a secret that they don't tell you. So this is 90% Sangiovese. So Sangiovese is a grape that grows really well in Italy, popular there. It's a little higher acid content and fruity character to it. Malvasia Nera is 2%, Colorino is 3%, and Merlot is 5%.
We're getting an echo.
We are getting an echo.
You hear the echo?
Yes, I do.
Why are we
Hear
getting
an
an echo?
echo.
Bob?
There's
Is it from yours?
sound coming off of
Oh, it's coming
this
off the other
camera here. Yeah.
Ah,
Is it coming through your phone?
I'm just hearing it over there.
Okay.
Okay.
Hang on.
so Chianti, fantastic wine. They can age well. They're really great with higher acid Italian foods, rich spaghetti sauce, and they just are wonderful. One of the first wines, I don't know if you guys remember, in the back of the Lovemobile, we had about 5 lugs of Sangiovese in 2006.
Yeah.
They were a little rotted, a lot of them,
A little moldy.
a little moldy.
But don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't
Put
worry.
the cans into it.
It's just,
Yeah.
They're fun.
We made wine out of it. I still have the end of the box, Sangiovese, with 2006 written on it, hammered into the
Yeah.
ceiling at the brewery.
I
at
think
my
we
house.
drank one of those the other day. That's what I think that bottle was that I
Yeah.
pulled out. I think
I don't
that
know.
was one of
It could
those.
be. Yeah.
Very possible. So
So
a couple things. Let's finish the appreciation. So we've now got the aroma concentrated, and now we want to smell it. I mean, you got to take the time to do this. If you don't take the time, you're not going to learn anything about the wine. I know you just want to drink it, but we're going to take the time.
smelling and tasting and sipping while you've been talking.
Talking.
It's great.
Well, somebody
It's
got to talk.
awesome. I know.
Are we
keep
going
going.
to start with the list here that we on our homework? That we start with the site appearance?
Yeah. So that's first thing. We've got. Let's look at the site. So hold it up to the light, and you can see about its clarity and density, how deep and rich the color is, and I would say actually, it does seem to have a little haze.
Yeah.
It does. It's not brilliant.
It's not
at all.
brilliant. So-
I'm sure this was barrel aged, and I'm sure
Maybe it's unfiltered. Yep.
And
The color is nice.
Sure
And
is.
if you want to know how to best understand the color, take a white piece of paper or something white and hold the wine in this manner so that you thin the wine toward the edge of the glass. And I can show you better if we use the second camera here. And somebody pointed out that when we go to take the second camera, if we take ourselves off the screen, we kill the mics. So thank you, Scott, for letting us know.
okay.
So
This is new technology. Now, one camera wasn't enough. Bob's got to have 2.
So if you hold your wine over the paper like that, you actually can see, and I can actually show you. You can see the color gets thin toward the edge of the glass, and where it thins, you'll start to see it's as the older the wine gets, the more the wine will start to change color toward the fringe, and it'll go from that ruby red to sometimes more of a brick color red. So that's the best way to really understand the color.
Yeah,
of
this
the
one
wine.
does not have much of a gradient. The whole wine itself is a slightly oranged character to it. So it's got some age on it.
It is 7 years old.
14,
So
7 years old. But I didn't see a big gradient going towards the
Right,
edge
right.
to me.
So maybe that's
fairly
young.
homogeneous.
It's got some time to grow.
Yeah.
So the rating on this is 0 to 4 points.
0 to 4. What do you think?
Well, I just gave it a 2 because I didn't find it to be tremendously exciting to me.
Yeah.
It's not a bright red. It's not clear. It's not crisp and sharp. But it's completely subjective. I've never really been a great fan of the color because I don't know that how much that's a visual experience, not a flavor experience. I'm much more interested in the rest of it, the aromatics and the flavor and
I think that's
acidities. And all those
why
things
it's a
that
little bit lower. And as long as people are consistent for themselves, this is what it helps. I mean, when we started doing this years ago, we became more focused on our wines, and we could pick things out of wines faster. It came naturally after we went through the scoring a number of times, because it gets you to focus on different aspects of it. But it's sort of a paradigm too. I mean, every cloudy beer that's out there now would fail if it was 10 years ago.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Cloudy beer, you had to
Right.
throw it away. No one was going to drink that cloudy mess. The brewer screwed it up. But now it's like, haze is in.
Haze is in,
That's great.
So
And,
those are good points, Chuck. That maybe that's not all the be all and end all, right? And as you're saying,
yeah,
so,
or for you score it the same way. You don't put much into the visual, or unless you open up one of your nice Corbels and it's sparkling and the bubbles are going up, and that might be an aesthetic that's pleasing visually, and you give it a 4.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've had that experience where I've had a glass of red wine or whatever wine it is, and just gone, wow, it really jumps out of the glass visually.
Yeah.
It sparkles. If it's a white wine, it's just sparkling, crystal clean. Like you used to show when you'd filter a wine, the difference.
I like doing that.
Between the different grade filters, and the finer the filter, the more sparkling that wine got.
Yeah.
So there is something to it, but if the wine tastes great and it doesn't score well on the visuals, that's fine. It's going to go good with food. It's going to go good with your meal. So I gave it a 2 as well.
Yeah.
Looks like
I gave it a 3.
you gave it a 3. So that's the appearance, and then we're gonna move on to aroma. So we swirled our glass. We've got those aromas swirling around in there. So try your nose at a different place in the glass. Try it close to the edge. Maybe a little bit higher up.
Yeah, when I dig my nose way in there, I get a lot more alcohol. When I hang back on the side, I pick up some of that really
Nuance.
nice red barnyard that's there. I love it.
That's why I like this wine.
I love this wine too.
So tell everybody about what Brett is, or barnyard.
So a number of, especially old world wines, French wines, Italian wines, where they've had barrels for generations and for various other things. There's an infection. A Brettanomyces is a type of yeast that hangs out in barrels and on equipment, and it can modify the aromatic and flavor profile of a wine. So it's not an alcoholic fermentation. It's not a myces, a yeast that creates alcohol. It's just one that converts some of the characteristics of the wine around. And for some people, the results are really unpleasant, and people don't like it. And a lot of wineries strive to keep Brettanomyces at bay and never have it be present. Once it's there, it's always going to be there. It's next to impossible to get rid of. And places in the beer world, sour beers and other things, are letting their beers become infected with Brettanomyces and other things. And they'll set up a separate barrel room for those things that they're going to let get infected with bacteria or other yeast strains, because they don't want their other products to get messed up. So a lot of old world wines can have this Brettanomyces character to it. Some is really well integrated to the wine, and you can't really pick it up. You don't know what's there, but it's nice. It's akin to some of the funky cheeses that you might smell and go, oh, what is that smell or aroma? And for some people, that's really not enjoyable. And other people just go, oh, I love it. I want more of that. And
well, it's also interesting. I heard somebody talk about smell on a recent podcast, and they pointed out that if you smell the same smell, say on your feet, that you smell on the cheese, the identical smell, that mentally the smell on your feet is not pleasant. But the second you put a piece of cheese in front of you with some crackers and a glass of wine, that same very smell all of a sudden starts to register as something interesting and that you want to eat. And it's been studied. It's the same smells in some cases. Yeah, it's fascinating.
so it's context?
To some degree. We've talked a lot about this. It is context.
That's a little disgusting. So moving right along.
It has nothing to do with using feet to crush grapes, just so you know, to bring that in. So Brettanomyces,
which we don't do, so it wouldn't really matter.
But Brettanomyces is a fairly common component of a lot of wines, barrel-aged wines, red wines, and it can come across as a bit of a horse sweat or a barnyard, manure, Band-Aid. There's various flavor notes that come through. I love them. My wife Maya doesn't really care for them. We'll open up a bottle of wine like this. We've had this. I like this wine a lot. And this level of Brettanomyces is fine with her. She likes this wine a lot. But we've had some that are just way too much. Early on, when I was really into Chateauneuf de Pape, and it was 2000 or 1996 was an incredible year, or 1989. Anyway, there were some and Maya bought me a couple of bottles of this, and it had really strong Band-Aid aroma to it. Like a fresh Band-Aid you take out of a box.
And you got to drink it all.
I got to drink it all because she didn't like it.
And I'm with you. I like that Brett. And a lot of wine aficionados would poo-poo Brett. You'll hear that often talked about, but it is a characteristic that I really enjoy, and not alone. There's a lot of people I think who find that. You find this characteristic very often in southern France, Languedoc and Provence, So those I can almost guarantee if I shop in that category in the liquor store, I'm going to find one that has some of that characteristic. It's frequent enough down there.
As a matter of flavor, in this particular Chianti, Matt asked the question about an aerator, and we've been standing around here talking, pontificating, and sharing our knowledge, going like this. We're doing the aerating right now. Right. So this wine has changed in the half an hour that we've been sitting here talking about it a lot. I mean, when it first poured it in, it was a lot of alcohol, a lot of rich dark fruit, cherries, and now it's more into a subtle acidity with that sort of that more depth from that organic barnyardy kind of influence, and I'm getting a lot more of the back palate at the end, where it has this sort of medium acidity. It's not terribly acidic.
No, it's nice. It's softened out,
and it has such a range of interesting flavors in it that this would be a fantastic food pairing, like a nice pasta, meatballs. Something like that, because it has all of that ability to bring in flavors of the other things that would complement both the wine and the
leeks au gratin.
But to stay focused on the aeration part, that's going to be different for every wine. Some wines you want to open and drink more or less right away. Other wines you might want to let aerate on their own in the bottle for an hour or two. Other wines.
This one's been open here the whole time.
Okay.
And that's an older one.
Other wines, you might, maybe you're in a hurry. You don't want to wait. So you can buy an aerator.
I never want to wait.
Ken never wants to wait. So an aerator will speed that process up. And in fact, maybe we should do that with one of the wines that we open up. Not yet. Let's finish this wine. But if you don't have an aerator, but you have a decanter increases the surface area of the wine and allows for aeration to happen more quickly. So my suggestion is that the only way to really understand this is to practice it, to aerate the wines, to try them at different points after you open them. And we'll try this right now. With the next bottle we open, we'll do it with this one. We'll pour a glass through this, and we'll pour a glass without it, and we can see side by side how they compare. And I suggest you try that at home as well. If you don't have an aerator, you can purchase these for, I don't know, $12 or $14 or something at the wine store or at Amazon, and try aerating. It's quite amazing how a little aeration can change a wine quite dramatically. Yeah. So how are we doing on aroma? We didn't even score the aroma on this yet.
I gave it a 5.
A 5, okay.
Yeah, I went 5 as well.
I think 5 is, I think that's...
Largely because
yeah.
I've had a great experience with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been entertaining from...
I think the aroma is better than the flavor, actually.
I do too, yeah.
You know, it's lacking a little bit in flavor and complexity, mouthfeel, and the rest of it. It's a little hollow, a little thin that way. But the aroma it's really got a lot going on in the aroma.
Yeah.
I could certainly sit around for long and really enjoy smelling this.
I agree with that. Now, let's talk a little bit about how we get the best appreciation of that flavor. There's a couple things you can do. We often talk about chewing your wine, which Ken will do right now. Now he's going to do the other thing. He's going to bubble it through his lips. So don't do this in public the first time, because you'll dribble down your chin and you'll be wondering what the hell happened. So, but 2 ways: chew the wine, put it in your mouth, and
you swirl
kind of like
around,
mouthwash.
Yeah, you want to move the wine all around in your mouth, because your tongue has different locations on it that pick up bitterness and saltiness and sweetness. So you want to make sure that all aspects of your mouth get in contact with the wine.
Also for mouth feel.
And the feel, the weight of the wine in your mouth, how it grips your tongue,
right?
Both in the swirling around chewing part of it, but also as you finish it too, as you swallow it. How does it go down? And then, of course, what the after effects are: the heat, the grippiness, the fruit. Does it linger a long time? Can you still smell it?
Right.
And some wines, on purpose, are short. Like a lot of Sauv Blancs. You sip that wine, you swallow that wine, and then it's
get a nice refreshing hit, and then it disappears.
And a wine like this, you'll sit there and chew it. I can still smell it.
I can still taste it and smell it.
I haven't touched that glass now for a couple of minutes. I can still smell it and enjoy it. And so some wines have a good length to them.
Just to step back for a second, Janice had a great question. Do you use aerators with white wines?
That's a great question. I think it's really depends on the style of the white wine. Some white wines are built and structured a bit like red wines. So some barrel-aged, malolactic fermented Chardonnays in California have that richness of a red wine, although it's white. And in that case, the aeration can really bring it out and open it up. Other whites, you're looking for that crisp, clean effect of the wine, and it's not something that benefits from open wine.
Sort of as a rule, I would say in most cases, especially if you're getting your wines at the supermarket, you don't want to aerate a white wine.
Right.
If you're buying more expensive, ageable whites, that might be something to consider. But I would say most wines in the low to midpoint would probably not want to be aerated. So
I've never had a white wine aerated. It's just never been.
I guess the best way to answer it is then experimentation.
Yeah. Right.
Try it.
Yeah. Maybe we're just missing out.
I think a lot of it too is the temperature range that you want to enjoy that wine at.
Yeah.
You know, when I think of white wine, what instantly comes to my head are the mead that I drink so much.
Mm-hmm.
And those I leave in my glass for an hour at a time as I'm reading a book. And I love the aromatic and how it opens up. I'm drinking it at cellar temperature. It's not that classic Chenin Blanc or Sauvignon Blanc white wine. So I think on those normal, straight ahead white wines that it's more you just pour them in the glass and drink it.
Yeah. So Matt asks the question, do any of you follow the more complex the wine, the longer in the mouth? I'm not exactly sure what he's getting at, but I'm going to guess that the more time you want to spend with that wine.
Yeah, that would be my thought.
Yes, lingering in your mouth before swallowing it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. When I have a really nice wine, I want to spend as much time on each sip as I can to enjoy every bit of it. And starting with, breathing it in through my lips and spraying it around my mouth.
Holding it in my mouth. I was drinking Red Scare the other night. Just so delightful.
Yeah.
Just so absolutely, Matt. That's when, the wine doesn't disappear from the glass. It's sitting there. You're smelling it. You're tasting it for a long period of time. I think definitely the complexity of the wine supports that or lends you towards that. If it was just something that's sort of forgettable, you just drink it.
And I think it's always true. If we're opening a really special, nice bottle of wine and it just has an amazing character that you don't get to drink every day, you want that bottle to last all night. You want to just live with it for a while because you don't get to drink those every day.
We've had too many nights where we get to this part of the bottle.
Like, oh,
this tastes so good now.
We need another bottle. Yeah.
So would you say that that wine is more or less quaffable then? Going by our definitions of the...
What do you mean by quaffable?
Yeah,
it's your word. It's your word.
Quaffable is, in my opinion, something you want to pound.
Crushable. Yeah, so we're having the vocabulary.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, this is not, a wine that you want to savor and go on is not a crushable.
I wouldn't even say it's quaffable.
So
I don't think
quaff is slangy.
That's kind of like crushing.
So what would you be doing? Sipping it?
Savoring it.
Savoring it.
Like
How about that?
Pondering it.
There'll be a vocabulary quiz.
So let's score this one.
Contemplative. Contemplative wines.
I did score.
I'm going to give it a 4.
I got a 15 total.
And the overall score, I'm going to give it a 3. So, and on the flavor on this, what I found is the tannins weren't that complex.
No, they're very simple.
Very simple tannins.
Not that smooth.
Yeah.
They can leave a pretty, almost like young tannins, and maybe that's why the color is still homogeneous. It's still so bound up with those tannins that it's not.
So this is an interesting point. I scored this a 14 out of 20, which would be just a little less than 75%.
But that's a good wine.
And that's a wine I went to the store and bought a case of not too long ago.
That's a good score.
It's a nice wine.
14, 15, 16. That's a home run. And we're not buying $1,000 bottles of wine here, guys. What? Those would be in this, 18, 19, 20 range.
Yeah.
So
that's why you can't score too high.
Let's do the test on this one. Before
$1,000 doesn't make a good bottle of wine.
No, it doesn't. But
Maybe it does.
the odds go up that it's going to be a better bottle of wine. Before we do this, let's capture some of this aeration on camera here. So we're going to do two glasses. We're going to pour it through. So you do the pouring. Pour 1 glass with aeration, and then 1 glass. Wait a minute, let me get this up on there. There we go.
So for each of us, what do we have here? Oh,
It's a 2013 Lake House Red from our library.
all right. Aeration will be on the left side.
Let me see if I can get you, hold your hand so we can see. Okay, we'll do it on the next one.
Regular pour in here. Oh, the color's holding up nicely. You ready? Do I have a good angle for you?
You're covering the aeration part. If you can.
I'm gonna drop it into the glass.
Yeah, don't do that.
How's that?
Yeah.
Makes a lot of noise.
It does. That's the air. It's forcing air into the wine as you're pouring.
Let me try holding it like this. Is that better?
I don't know.
All right. Making a mess here.
So the one is on the left is the.
Left is aerated. So don't swirl and let's just smell straight off.
Yep. Oh, interesting. It's quite different.
get that big of a difference to me. You get a big difference in
I got
aroma?
I
It's a
found
much different wine than the last one.
yes,
but
I found the one that wasn't aerated presented better on the nose. That there's some off characteristics in the nose that came out that jumped out at me more so in the one that was aerated. Metallic
a metallic.
on the nose. That's a little more prominent in the aerated one. Did you notice a difference, Chuck?
Mine was the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, so I thought that the unaerated one had some more like stem green kind of thing.
herbal.
And I went to the aerated one and I thought that smelled more fruity. And then I went back and did it again and they're both the same to me. So I killed that moment. I don't know.
It happened really quickly.
It happened
too.
really quick.
Yeah.
And it's good. I've done this several times in the past, and I found that that it can vary greatly. And
You
sometimes
can smell yourself in between, and it changes.
I've heard that. Yeah. Well,
Your aroma.
Should you smell your feet? Should I smell your
You
feet?
should definitely not smell yours. I know
No,
that.
definitely
And you
not.
don't want to smell mine.
oh boy, here we go.
No, seriously, you're around yourself, your own aroma, if you will, all the time. And when you smell a bunch of wines, it's really interesting. Your nose can get kind of jaded and flattened out. And you sniff and sniff and sniff, and it's like it's disappearing. You can't get anything back out. And,
So-
and smell your sleeve, smell your arm, and then go back and you go, oh, I can smell it again. I find that, for me, pretty useful, because if I spend too much time smelling a wine over and over again, it sort of goes away.
Yeah.
And I can't,
I've actually
can't
heard,
articulate it.
and I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems to me at some point in my travels, I heard that there are sometimes recommendations that you keep a certain character or smell handy, that you can do that with.
Reference smell.
A reference smell to sort of take your nose off the wine and then go back to it.
That's why I keep a bottle of wine open with me at all times.
Okay.
Is that what that is? That's what it's supposed to be? Or some gin? Something neutral.
So I know we've jumped into the tasting part. Always the first question is the sight and appearance of the wine. What I like about this is the clarity of it. It has nice brick red margins and a
it's
really
pretty.
nice, clean,
Yeah.
crisp color.
I like the presentation on this better than the
In the counting.
Chianti.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing cloudy or distracting. It may not be as nice as the bubble in your Corbel, but it's definitely a nice
Yeah.
format.
And aroma-wise,
The aroma is very unusual.
yeah,
it's
got that
grassy,
metallic.
It's herbal.
It's got some.
I don't get metallic,
You don't
but
get
I
metallic?
know there's something.
I'm never good at putting
I'm not quite
names to
sure
things.
what
but
it is. It's almost candy-like, not burnt candy, but a candyish.
So I'm gonna go
There's
down a
something
little on
dancing around
the nose. I think it's a
On the
4.
nose, there's a couple times I come across it where there's something that's not nice, like a corked aspect to it. But it's not corkage, it's something different. It's definitely not.
You know, I found it better if you stick your nose a little high on the glass. Maybe it's alcohol. If I get less, if I get a little less of the intensity, then is it alcohol I'm getting? Maybe a little high, a little heat.
Oh, there's something.
When I let my
It's
nose.
almost- I caught a glimpse of like a little butterscotch, like a diacetyl note there.
Yeah, so no matter how much I try with the nose, even between the two of them now, I do get a nice bit of red fruit in there, and it does change a little bit every time I try to get something. But the nose compared to the previous wine doesn't have that rich wafting of red fruit.
Right.
It's
No.
very tight.
Yeah.
There's something there, but it's
And it's
not-
also not as nice, just overall nice. This isn't something that I would sit there and really enjoy
Smelling. Yeah.
I want to smell it a lot right now just to see if I can pull out what's in there, but it's not something that I would just sit around
So on
with a
that
glass
note,
like this.
you suggested smelling yourself. Matt suggested smelling his wife. So that's what he did.
right on. I'm a big.
He went on to say,
Chuck's not that good.
he went on to say that the Red Scare always presents differently with Lynn nearby than without her. Go, Matt.
Wow. Okay, moving right along. Yeah.
I'm going to save some of this wine to go home and have some with Gerald.
Yes.
So the fruit in Lake House Red is blueberry.
Did you notice a difference in the taste between the two?
No.
I like the flavor.
But here's where I was going to go with this, is that the aromatics aren't there, but once you sip it, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, the fruit, everything that's not, and this is really strange experience.
It's yummy.
It's really delicious. Yeah.
It's yummy. There's something off in that aroma that doesn't. I catch the aroma as I'm drinking it. But I could sit here and sip this for quite a while.
That's really nice.
So this is
I was a little worried with the aroma.
I know, me too.
What are we heading into here? But that's really yummy. Wow. That's better than the last one, flavor-wise. Yep.
Ken, I have a feeling your batteries might be dead on your...
It did show me as kind of low in the beginning.
You're dead, yeah. You guys keep talking. I'll get you some batteries.
Oh, okay. There's some in my
Just
drawer.
unplug. I got them right here.
Okay.
Yeah, just hold on.
Okay. So I'll talk a little louder. So anyway, flavor.
Yeah.
Flavor's nice. Very, good red fruit, red berry integrated. You don't know that it's a blend of different things, which is always so magical to me because I make a separate elderberry wine. I make a separate raspberry wine. I make a separate blueberry wine. And you would never think that putting them together is going to do this. And going back to the commercial one, that's Sangiovese, the Chianti Classico. That's a blend of 4 different grapes. And they don't just put 2% of that particular grape in to get rid of it. They put that in there because it makes a better tasting wine.
Right. Rounds it out. Yeah. So I also love the mouthfeel. It's smooth. It's smooth. Yeah. It's almost creamy. And then I do get the red fruit.
Oh, the full battery power now.
Blueberry and that has some of the fruit tannins in there that I'm
This actually has autumn berry in it, too.
Does it really?
Oh.
So tell us about this wine. This is a 2013.
Yeah.
You made this in our during the season of our 3rd year at Taylor Road.
Right. It was made, actually, this was probably made here. We moved here in the fall of 13, right for crabapple harvest.
Wow.
So this was probably made, this was one of the
first
first
vintage of Lake House Red here. Is that your oldest Lake House? Did you make the Lake House Red in 2012?
I don't know. I'll find out. I'll look it up, folks. I keep all my recipes with me in the cloud.
So I'm going to score this one. I'm going to score flavor-wise. I'm going to give this a 5. That was really enjoyable. I like the flavor actually better than the Chianti, which is interesting.
Yeah, me too. But I gotta knock it down from the aroma.
I have to knock the aroma down so I got to bring the aroma. I gave it a 4 on the aroma, but the aroma is impacting my flavor such that it's a detractor. So I'm going to go down to 3 on the aroma.
I went 3 on the aroma and 2 on the overall because of that.
Yeah,
because of the aroma.
So. I think I'm going to go with the same.
It's too bad because the flavor is really nice.
Are we finding a difference between aerated and non-aerated as the wine?
I think you called it, Chuck. I think it happened too quick.
Yeah.
So in this case, I would say there's little to no difference.
Yeah, they're just exactly the same to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I made spice wine back then. Spiced mead. I made a straight autumn berry. Made a Red Scare and a Red Scare Oak. That was the first time I put Red Scare in an oak barrel, was in 13. And here's Lake House Red. Made a total of 667 bottles of it.
Is that the first, what year was that?
13.
13, first year then?
I don't know, I'll have to look at 12.
While you're looking at that, I'm just going to remind everybody what the score sheet looks like. I'll share that one more time. And so if you're following along, and this score sheet, if you...
Oh, no autumn berries in this one, sorry.
If you did not already know this, we mentioned it earlier in the show. If you go to our events page and look up this event on the events page, you can get a PDF of this document. And I suggest if you want to experiment with this at all, print off a few of them. There's enough room on this to do 6 or 8 wines So you don't need a new sheet.
I would highly recommend this to everybody out there that's into wine. It will help you appreciate wine more, enjoy wine more, know more about the process. It becomes second nature after a while, but if you go through and do this, follow the guidelines, put numbers down. There's no right or wrong. It's just your score. But it forces you to think about every wine this way. We do it sort of naturally now without really concentrating on it. But it's because we went through this so many times. And it's really helpful.
We did this with our wine club that we had before we started the winery. We'd have 10 or 12 people. That's right. We could get together once a month. Everybody would bring a wine of a certain genre. Whoever the host was would decide that. And we would score them all. And whoever got the highest rated, whoever brought the highest rated
would win a prize. Or take the wine home of that evening.
Yeah. So
whatever was left over.
Right, but this really kept the eye on the ball as a matter of actually paying attention to the wines. Particularly, we had big parties with, say, 10 wines. By the 10th wine, it's really kind of hard to keep your focus. That's a lot of wine. Yeah.
How's it smell? What do you score?
I'd give him a 3.
Better than feet. So yeah, no,
Matt, I think did you score Lynn, Matt, on the chart here?
Yeah, so this...
Be careful with that, Matt.
So this one came out a little bit lower than the accounting.
You got 14 also, so did I.
I got 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the flavor saved it.
We got 10 more minutes, and we got one more bottle of wine.
So 13 was the first Lake House Red.
Okay. We know that now.
So we're drinking the very first Lake House Red, and it's 8 years old, and it's drinking really nice. The aroma's not little off. I wonder if that's just this bottle. Oh, it could be just this bottle.
I just caught a little bit of that aroma that we had early on with some of our wines. Did you get that? Did you get that early aroma? Starts with a G?
No.
You don't get that? No, you get that.
All right.
Moving on. Oh.
Last one. So tell us about this one, Ken.
Well,
that's the very first wine ever for sale.
So this is the original Hermit Woods label, too.
Let me put the other camera up. There you go. And you can look at it.
Remember, this is the original label where we had a separate piece.
Let me bring it right up.
And we had the same story in the back. It's expensive to print labels, so we thought we'd get smart here and break them into pieces. And we had that box to put all 3 labels on each bottle by hand. Remember doing that?
Yeah. So every bottle got this label, and we did that with by hand,
front and back,
and then
the little square on the bottom
for each different wine. We put that little square. We did that for 1 year, and then we said, enough of that.
Yeah. Particularly because we're putting it on by hand.
Yeah. Then it went to a full strip. And got nicer. So
that's a 2009.
This is nice.
So
look at the color. Look at the bright red. Wow. This is the one that we spun all the sulfur out of it. Remember?
Wow.
This is when we were racing carboys.
The contest.
Yes.
Oh, so it's cloudy.
This is
really.
Yes. This is one of the. Oh no! That's not this.
No, that can't be this.
No, that's not this.
This is cloudy. So the first thing I notice. I'm still surprised at how bright red it is, although it's changing. That color is
brilliant. You're right, cloudy.
And that color is changing. It's not brick, but it's moving in that direction. It's pretty bright red for like 10 years old.
I think. See, 9 was before we had a winery. 9, we were still making it in my barn with a 10-foot pole
on the press.
On the press.
The press is now in parts on the side of the building over here.
I just saw that. That brings.
So we squoze those grapes
so hard,
breaking every seed, squeezing every bit of
Bordeaux in 50 years.
That's what it does. I mean, we were being frugal Yankees, but we packed so much tannin into this wine that it's not changing color. That's amazing. Under a nickel cork too.
So I gave it a 1 on the site. I think.
Wow.
I think because the cloudiness is distracting. Yeah. It's too cloudy. It's not appropriate.
Compared to the first one?
Yes, cloudier than the first one.
Wow.
I think, and And the color is I don't find it's not the bright red, it's not the brick, it's not a transition. It's sort of middle. I think it's a 1. I'll just
Pound it. Go.
give it a hard.
There's no right or wrong.
Going hard on this.
There's no right or wrong. Yours is wrong, but there's no right or wrong.
Why would I be in so much froth? What would that be a sign of?
I think that's when I was experimenting with using toothpaste in my wine. And when you swirl it, it kind of foams up like a good toothpaste
That is
should.
interesting. We didn't experience
That's
that
how
with
we're
any of
covering the
others.
color.
No, seriously, Ken, what is that? Why is it bubbly?
I have no idea.
You're the scientist. Now we want science.
I am. Now you want some.
Yeah.
Little hot. Little alcohol.
I got kind of cool fruit coming out there. You got a lot of alcohol?
I get alcohol. I'm looking for
It's
fruit.
not very interesting, the aroma. To me, it's very fruity.
If I hold my nose, and see, that's so fascinating. Stick your nose way in there and you get alcohol.
Right.
Hover a little above the glass and you get the fruit.
Right.
It's really nice to know that. Really, take your time smelling from different places. Smell toward the front, smell toward the back, smell a little higher up, smell with your nose jammed way down in there, and then smell your wife and go back to it and see how it goes. You're gonna make Maya jealous.
I doubt it.
Yeah, no, that's me. Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna give it a 3. It's not.
That aroma
It's not faulty, but it's not interesting. It's not
interesting,
engaging.
yeah. I'm gonna give it.
It's not.
3 as well.
I think
It's
that
grapes. I mean, it's like, what do you expect?
I think it has that characteristic of Merlot that sort of sits in the back of my mind of what Merlot smells like. But it used to be much more abrupt on the nose, if I remember correctly. And there's a very
Much more metallic.
yeah, much more metallic, much less enjoyable, really. I think that the aromatics have been prelude on this wine over time, and because they become more subdued.
No, the taste.
Oh, just massive.
Tannins. Tannins. Jesus. So,
Oh my God.
tannins come from the skin of the fruit. They come from the barrel.
And
they
from
come
the seeds, if you squish them hard enough.
So when we made this wine, we wanted to make wines that could age really long.
So basket press is a bunch of slats, and you take all the fermented grape skins and stuff and put it in there, and the slats hold back the skins. And then there's a screw, and you crank on this arm, and you drive a wooden plate down on top of the fruit, squeezing the juice out the sides. Normally, you just use your hands on this thing. But we had this great idea of putting a big, long pole.
14 foot, I think it was, or 12
And then
foot.
we jammed a long pole through the 3 legs so that the whole press wouldn't move on my dirt floor out in the barn. And you guys got on the end of this big one.
And we bent
the metal rod.
Yeah.
So
And it tastes like it.
I don't think you could have pressed this any
so
harder.
Tannins.
Grippy
Yeah.
as heck.
It's the wrong tannin.
We've got all those. We got them all.
All we got to do is
Way too
wait.
many tannins.
All you have to do is wait.
Yeah. Hopefully, we won't be dead before this is drinkable.
We might.
I don't know
Actually, we should put this in our veins. We might live longer. There's so many antioxidants in here. That's why this hasn't changed.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, that was an experience. We had a lot of fun.
Still drinkable. I'd still enjoy this with the right food. A steak or something that you could compete with those tannins nicely. So I'm gonna on the flavor, I'm gonna give it a 3 overall 2. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. This only got a 9 for me. You got a 10.
I got a 7.
7. Yeah. So we're consistent anyway with our scoring. That's good. And it's actually been true over the years. I've always been impressed by we do have a similar taste. And I wonder if we poured it through this.
Oh, that could help.
Let's try that.
Something's got to help.
We got 2 minutes. Something's got to help. Yeah, do it right near the mic. You can really definitely hear that air squeezing through that little aerator.
Maybe we do this like 20 times.
Oh, that made a difference. I got fruit on the nose right away.
Yeah.
Get some fruit.
Yep.
Did you?
Yep.
Right away.
Yeah. That's what this wine needs. It needs to be poured back and forth in a bucket over a 50-foot waterfall.
Over a giant aerator.
Over a giant aerator. We just leave this open for a week. Let's see what happens.
That absolutely improved the wine.
Oh.
It's still got those grippy tannins.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not gonna aerate tannins away. Okay, Carl.
I think
Wow.
it brought those green
tannins
tannins out more.
Wow.
Oh, I thought it changed it nicely.
I think it did on the aromatics for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go back to some of this silky Lake House Red.
Yeah.
I'm going to
that
hold
was
my
good.
nose while I drink it.
So we're at 6:30. Again, everybody, if you want to experiment with this at home, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. We do it. We used to do it on a regular basis, and actually, we're going to be doing things like this upstairs. So some of these wine tasting experiences will be specialty tastings where we're going to actually go through the program and teach people how to use these forms.
Do we go out and smell the audience?
They can smell each other.
Okay.
Are we going to mention fruit in this one?
This will be after COVID is not a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't want our audience smelling each other while we have COVID going on. But no, so we're going to have classes, wine appreciation classes that will hold in person upstairs.
So people can come here and
do this.
go through these sheets.
We've done this
And learn
here.
how to-
We've had some
Oh, yeah.
great club experiences here in the past. Some of you out there who've been in the club for a while
Eli and the gang
have had a chance to come
over.
and do this with us.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun. So go to our website, go to the event section, and look for this event where it's advertised. And right below the event, you'll see a downloadable card just like this. Print off a bunch of them and share them with your friends, and then you'll get better at this. And the better you get at it, the better you'll get at knowing what kinds of wines you like. You'll get better at picking wines out when you go to the liquor store to choose which wines you're going to have with dinner. And so I highly recommend you give it a try.
You know what's amazing is going back through the other wines now, too. And we used to do
aerated,
this.
yeah.
Remember, we used to do these, we would score without knowing what the wines are. So we put them all in a brown bag and we'd have numbers. So we were just scoring a number. We didn't know. And then we'd do the big reveal at the end.
Right.
And we would make guesses as to what kind of wine it was, what year it was vinted in. Remember, we were trying to get sharp at doing that. And sometimes we would get pretty close. Other times we were ridiculously way off track. But it's fascinating once you go through a sequence and you score it, and then you go back and try the wines. Sometimes you go back, you're like, why did I like that?
Yeah.
What was that all about?
When this broadcast is over, we're going to do that. We're going to go back and look at all these. We do need to get to an end. I want to make a couple comments. People have said some things here. Greg Farley is on, and he said,
Hey, Greg.
he said, so much for separating free run from press. We bolted our press to the floor and used a giant piece of rebarb. So good. We're not alone here. Go.
All right, Greg, go.
He must be a Yankee.
And Matt says, Bob, does the top of the bottle differ that much from the bottom of the bottle? I'm not sure I know what he's saying. I'm assuming he's meaning as you finish the bottle, when you get down to the bottom. And as you were just pointing out, I would say the answer is yes.
It definitely changes.
The more air is exposing to the wine as you drink it down. And actually, as you get to the bottom of the bottle, you've changed quite a bit. So you're going to have a different perception of things. Yeah. So I would say that's true. And let's see, Judy says, just took the words out of my mouth. The score sheet will help us focus on rating wines.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you,
really
Judy.
does help.
It really does help a lot. So go get that sheet and get practicing, and we'll do this again. Thank you so much for joining us again Monday. Again, every week, every Monday at 5:30 now, not 4.
What's next week?
Next week? Oh, thank you. We are. Anybody heard of Apollo Vineyards?
Apollo Vineyards?
Yeah, they're on the moon, right? It's a long hike to get there.
No, it's actually Mike Apollo.
Oh, how about that?
He's the owner, and he's going to be with us next week virtually. And we're going to talk about he's going to bring some of his wines up. So we're going to try some of his wines, and we're going to talk about them and learn a little bit about what Apollo Vineyards is doing down there. He's the only vineyard, I believe the only vineyard currently. Actually, no, that would be second because Mermaid Hill is doing it organically.
Right.
And but he's the first one to do organic.
Well,
Actually, not even Virginia attempted to do organic growing, although she couldn't quite get there.
Not commercially, but Mike's an amazing guy. I remember going to his vineyard and walking, and he was finding wild grapes and transplanting those and developing new cultivars, and really fascinating.
So
trying to grow things that work well here.
Whether the
naturally.
first, right, whether he's the first or not, doesn't matter. But he's growing his grapes since 2013 organically down at Apollo Vineyards down in southern New Hampshire. And he's going to talk about that with us. And we'll get in that with him and get into that with him and talk a little bit about how he's managing that process. It's not easy to grow organic grapes in New Hampshire. It's not easy to grow any grapes in New Hampshire, never mind organically. So tune in next Monday at 5:30 to meet Mike Apollo. He's a great guy. We spent a lot of time with him at the different shows that we go to. And,
he's a lot of fun.
You'll enjoy hearing from Mike. And I don't know what's going on the week after that. We better get some plans going, though. I want to get a little ahead of this so we don't have to have people wondering right up until Sunday night.
Do you think you could put all this stuff on a little trailer while we rode our bicycles?
Yes, that's a good idea. Tune in.
A trailer behind a bicycle built for three.
We're gonna ride our bikes across the country, right?
We are. Well, one bike.
Chuck's not excited about that. One bike, yeah.
We're riding one bike together.
Think about that.
So I think we're winding down here. I'd like to say hi to Sheila.
We are.
Thanks for joining us.
Janice, thank you. Another informative hour. Thank you, Janice.
All our watchers.
Yeah.
Without you guys, we would just be standing here talking to nobody, which wouldn't really be as fun.
Right.
No,
so
much better.
Cheers. We'll see you next Monday, 5:30. Mike Apollo, and have a great evening.